Rheumatologist, GVN Medical Center, Hyderabad, Dean ICP API, former Professor in HOD, Rheumatology, NIMS, Hyderabad. With the chairpersons present here on the dais, may I please request them to introduce the speaker for this session, Recent Advances in Dengue Management.
Good afternoon, friends. I think all of you have a good lunch, and I'm sure Dr. Chenaraya will not make you sleep in the post-lunch. Dr. Chenaraya, a good friend of mine, a long biodata, he has his contribution immense. He is one of the senior most physician and API member. He is presently senior consulting physician at Sagar Hospital. He was ex-professor HOD medicine in KIMS, as secretary of Medical Education and Research Trust at Karnataka, and past positions, varied positions, treasurer, secretary, chairman of 2008 API Karnataka chapter. He was organ secretary of Kepicon 2006 at Bangalore, and member of board of studies and chairman of research committee of Rajiv Gandhi Health University, and co-organ secretary of Epicon 2018, which was held 2 years back in Bangalore. And he has total teaching experience 33 years and clinical experience 35 years, almost 3.5 decades. He has more than 15 publications, a lot of awards he has received: Rotary Bangalore, Rajshekhar Reddy, Community Services, and hard research work on diabetes, dengue fever, sleep apnea. He has done a lot of research work. A number of orations, I think many of you may feel jealousy of number of orations received. Shashidhar Malak Reddy oration, then Case Appa oration, Epicon 85 a guest lecture during Epicon 2008 Davangere, and S.V. Govinda Shetty Memorial oration, and M. Malavya, M. Maya oration, Epicon 2017 at Mysore. So, such an experienced person, I'm sure he will enlighten us on dengue, and none of you are going to sleep during his talk because he is one of the good clinician, good teacher. I'll ask my co-chairperson, Purushottam, to brief the concept of dengue today's lecture.
Good afternoon. Dengue fever is one of the commonest problems we are facing as a physicians as of today. Previously, it was sometime in the rainy season. Now, from January to December, you see dengue. If any physicians are here, or even pediatricians, if you see, if they're practicing, definitely they will have 1 or 2, 3 patients under them as of today in dengue fever. For the global thing, like 380 million cases are infected every year. Out of that, about 100 million cases will manifest into disease. The problem with this is there is no treatment available regarding the antivirals which will work in this dengue fever. The complications are quite some. Dr. Chenaraya is going to highlight on the treatment aspects, challenges we face every day in this regard. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, respected chairpersons. At the outset, I thank the Fever Foundation for giving me the opportunity to present the talk on recent advances in management of dengue fever. I thank Microlabs for inviting me for this talk. Now, this topic has been chosen aptly because it is very, very common in this season, and it is all over the country. We do see almost every day in this season, one will come across at least few cases of dengue, and aptly this needs highlighting in this conference. Now I'll be talking to you a brief introduction and what I have done for last 10-15 years on this dengue, and I'll just quickly go through the clinical features and investigations and management. Now, mostly stressing on the newer things, what is happening in the management. Now, just now we heard that it is mosquito-borne virus disease across the world, endemic in more than 100 countries. We see lot many cases of 390 million and almost 5 lakh dengue hemorrhagic fevers, and death compared to the numbers what we see, the death rate is very low, 4%. More so in patients who have dengue hemorrhagic fever. And the problem is it can present with varied clinical phenotypes. It's not single phenotype. And severe end of the spectrum of this disease, what we see is capillary leak or coagulopathy failure and organ damage. So that will be the severe problems what you see in dengue. Now, over the years, if you see from 2015 to the 2019, almost nearing a lakh of cases we see in India. Remember, these are the confirmed cases of dengue what Government of India projects. There may be many number of cases which are not reported, not confirmed by the standards of the government what we supposed to do. So you can think of the number of patients what we will be seeing with respect to this. Now, recently we have seen that it is also transmitted sexually, reported from Spain as recently as a week back, they reported it can be transmitted through sexual route also. I'll just show you for last 14 years, I'm in the looking at for these dengue cases. Now, almost I have seen nearly for last 10 years, every year about 800 to 900 and odd cases we see every year during our hospital stay. Now, look at the number of deaths. For 1,000, hardly we get deaths of about 10, 12 deaths. For the about 800 to 900 cases, we get only about this number. Now, what are the reasons why people die of dengue deaths is basically so deaths are basically the dengue shock syndrome or multi-organ dysfunction, ARDS, or some of them with the other comorbid illness if they have the deaths occur. So basically it is the shock and multi-organ dysfunction which kills these patients. Now in this year what I have seen in the present hospital where I am working, from January to the September data we have seen about 400 odd cases. Now adult admissions around 364, almost sex ratio is equal. Now basically we have seen majority of cases in between June, July and August, and September onwards the number of cases decreases. Now this is the month distribution. Now if you look at the number of patients needing platelet transfusion, out of almost 400 and odd patients, only about 27 patients needed platelet transfusion. 25 them had some of the bleeding manifestations which made us to transfuse platelet. Now, if you look at the number of patients who are less than 10,000 is hardly 5 patients. Now, around 10,000 to 20,000 we had 50 patients. Now, some of them do have bleeding manifestations between 10 to 20,000, also about 20,000 counts. Now, if you look at the various complications which we encountered, majority of the patients are admitted in ICU, about 67. 172 patients out of them had different complications ranging from hepatitis to various other organ dysfunction, dengue shock, and some of them do add other various, like one patient had MI, quite a good number had acute kidney injury, and one patient had encephalopathy. Now this is one of the other report from Bangalore intensive care unit, where they have seen again majority of the patients in this also had hepatic or other platelet dysfunction and platelet count being low in ICU setting also they have come across these type of problems. Now, will dengue fever patient will have immunity? Often asked question. Now remember that there are 4 different serotypes. If you get one type, it will be lifelong immunity to only to that serotype. It may be short term to immunity to the other serotypes. But subsequent infection, remember, if they get a different serotype, the complications rates are very, very high in such patients. Now, these are the different ways of presentation. All of us know that undifferentiated and dengue hemorrhagic fever and dengue without hemorrhage and with unusual hemorrhage. Now, these are the various sites of bleeding you can have when you see a patient. Now, the most important period what we have to remember in a patient with is not the febrile period. When fever subsides, the critical period starts. When the temperature touches the baseline, the patient's platelet count will start falling in this patient. That is the period where you can get the plasma leak or various other shock or the organ impairment will occur in this phase, where the WBC count also will start going down and IgM will start appearing. Now, WHO has divided the dengue into different types. Now, most important for us would be the dengue with warning signs. Now, any patient who has got severe abdominal pain, persistent vomiting, any fluid accumulation, mucosal bleed, or liver enlargement, or liver enzymes if they are very high, or decreasing platelet count. So, those patients we need to recognize early, patients with warning signs. Now, they require close monitoring, and definitely severe dengue, what we classify the patient who has got severe plasma leakage or any patient with severe bleeding or any organ impairment resulting in dengue shock or any enzymes, liver enzymes more than 1000. You remember those are the severe dengue patients. They are more prone for problems. Now, WHO also extended the classification of dengue to identify the other risk patient, that is what is called expanded dengue. Any patient with end organ damage or co-infections or high risk group, they all fall into category of expanded dengue, where you have to remember these patients are also at risk of problems. Now, all of you know that how to diagnose primary dengue and secondary dengue. Now, one has to look at the IgM and NS1 antigen for diagnosis, and IgG comes at a later. In secondary dengue, the IgM response may not be that great. Now, sometimes it may be difficult in secondary dengue. Now, then we may have to depend on NS1 in such patients. So, we have different tests to be done at different period. I think there is one more talk which is being presented. I will not go into the details of all these. Now, there are some new technologies are coming in the diagnosis of dengue. Now, what is important is for diagnosis is point of care, that is at the site whether we will be able to diagnose. What it should be assured that is affordable, user friendly, rapid and easy to handle and deliver in the field. Now, such tests should be come forward and where we can diagnose dengue more easily. Now, there are going to have biosensor platform where you can identify NS1 antigen by screen printed what is called carbon electrode, where the new things which is under development, and we have IgM antibody detection based on optical biosensor or nanoparticles which are done on cellulose paper sheet where it can be diagnosed, and detection of dengue genome by genosensor, and we have different types of PCRs which are going to come, what is called RT-LAMP PCR or microfluid platform, and sometimes I think in future we will have what is called a simple novel paper-based diagnostic devices which may be in the future development. If we see maybe down the lane 5 or 10 years, you get a simpler test, easy to diagnose and identify all types of serotypes at field where it can reach the rural and it can be easily done. Now, I will just show you a few cases what we encountered. Now, this is a 31-year-old lady, came in the month of July this year with a fever, tiredness, severe abdominal pain, one episode of emetemesis, and she is diabetic for last 6 months and her vitals were normal. When she got admitted, except for tenderness, nothing was there, and total count was low, platelet was 22,000, and our SGOT was 7,600, and ALP, GGT, everything was elevated, creatinine around 1.4, and our both IgM and NS1 was positive. Ultrasound showed, as usual, gallbladder wall edema and hepatomegaly, and other investigations were normal. Now what happened was, second day patient deteriorated with severe abdominal pain, vitals became unstable, she had one episode of convulsion, and she needed ventilation. She went into ICU, developed ARDS, then developed kidney injury, and patient had to undergo dialysis, and patient needed blood transfusion, FFP, and severe coagulopathy in the form of PT and APTT being prolonged, and the platelet count dropped to 7,010, and SGOT, SGPT rise to 19,000 and 3,000. So she went through all the organs, probably getting involved in the form of liver, severe hepatitis, AKI, ARDS, seizures, encephalopathy, and thrombocytopenia and coagulation failure. So it is a typical multi-organ dysfunction. These type of patients, we are going to have problem, and difficult to wean these patients out of ICU, and difficult. And fortunately, we could save her. Patient improved. She was on ventilator, dialysis, and when during the recovery, patient continued to have GI bleeding in the form of melena, and endoscopy and colonoscopy was done. And this was the chest X-ray with ARDS. This is the colonoscopy which is showing the bleed in this patient. So she was in ICU, she recovered, and she went home without any difficulty. So such patients we are the tough ones where we may have to handle in a dengue patient. Now sometimes you may get unusual problems that you have to monitor in this patient. So this patient got admitted with thrombocytopenia and dengue being positive. His hemoglobin was 16. And suddenly one day he developed severe pain, vitals became unstable, abdomen started distended, it was very severely tender, and patient had signs of distension, fluid in the abdomen. We did monitor the vitals, and his hemoglobin had dropped to 4.1. Platelet was fairly okay in this patient, and SGOT, SGPT has gone up, and patient was hypoxemic and shifted to ICU. And this was the X-ray we did, showed some fluid in the abdomen, and patient, since he had dropped the hemoglobin, we suspected something in the abdomen, and ultrasound done and CT done, it showed fluid. And so we had doubt, since blood has, hemoglobin has dropped, we tapped, this is the amount of blood we had to tap from his abdomen, transfused, and patient recovered. So these are the unusual things which can happen. This is recently, about 2 weeks back, where I saw a patient. He came with typical features of dengue, fever, abdominal pain, temperature was high. This was the spikes of temperature, and is both ELISA, NS1 and IgM was positive. And he was started for the dengue treatment. Patient continued to have high grades of fever. Platelets suddenly dropped in this patient, and we could find some eschar in this patient, and Will-Felix was done. So this is a typical where co-infections sometimes can happen in dengue. So don't forget, sometimes you can have co-infection. So these are the different problems you can encounter when you see the dengue patient. Going on to the management, there is no specific treatment for dengue. It is all symptomatic and supportive. Corticosteroids not to be used. Platelet transfusion only less than 10. Now some of the new things which are going to come up, probably thrombopoietin receptor antagonist or vascular endothelium growth factor, which is the culprit for plasma leak in these patients, probably something targeting the endothelial growth factor, and probably vaccines on the way. Now, remember, no aspirin, no NSAIDs, high amount of fluid intake, either orally or IV. Follow complete blood count every day. Watch for pleural effusion or ascites. Then proper IV fluid management in these patients is the crucial in the management of dengue fever. In children, the dose of paracetamol is 10 milligram, and like in adults, good fluid intake. Now this is how you calculate the fluid based on the body weight. Now coming to when you see these patients, most important what we monitor is hematocrit. Whenever there is bleeding tendency, thrombocytopenia, hematocrit rises more than 20, always crystalloids at a rate of 6 ml. Check hematocrit. If it is improving, reduce the fluid, IV fluid, and further improve, discontinue IV fluid after 24 to 48 hours. If there is no improvement, hematocrit increases, probably increase the fluid. If hematocrit falls, suspect some internal bleed, probably such patients will require blood transfusion. Now, if it is compensated shock, not much, then hematocrit is rising, then again you have to work up for further other problems. If there is a hematocrit fall or increase, based on that you can monitor whether there is a bleeding or not. If patient is in severe shock, you have to start oxygen. Try to correct the fluid balance in these patients. If it is a hematocrit problem, continue the IV fluids. If there is falling, then you increase these. Bleeding, if you suspect, transfuse. And if there is a refractory hypotension, probably inositopes, crystalloids, colloids, and all those other measures of shock we have to take. Now, whenever there is a severe bleeding, massive hemorrhage, you have to monitor not only the platelet, you have to monitor the clotting time, prothrombin time, APTT, liver function test in such patients. Whenever there is rare circumstances, you can get intracranial bleed in some of the patients. In severe thrombocytopenia, there may be having abnormal coagulation failure in such patients. Now, what are the new things is happening in dengue? Now, if we have to treat, we need an ideal drug. What is the ideal? It should have a good safety profile, and it can be taken orally, since majority of our patients have mild symptoms. So that will be the ideal drugs. What are the drugs which are under development? There are drugs targeting the viral factors, some of the drugs targeting the host factors. Now, based on that, we have various classifications like protease inhibitors, translation inhibitors, capsid inhibitors, peptide inhibitors, some of the host modulators, RNA polymerase inhibitor, and alpha glucosidase inhibitor. Now, these are some of the antivirals which undergone trials and at various phases, like balpiravir, selgosivir, sofosbuvir, which is used in the treatment of hepatitis, statins, chloroquine, ivermectin. Most of them are not proved beyond doubt for the clinical management of these patients. Some of the small group trials have not shown any benefit, except statins, which has got anti-inflammatory effect, and probably it modulates the lipid polysaccharide, which is there in the cell wall of this, probably some role. Chloroquine, again anti-inflammatory, and ivermectin. Now, some of the reports are there for doxycycline in the management of the dengue fever. Again, it has got some of the anti-inflammatory effect on anti-dengue activity, and may be helpful in reducing the severity of the clinical symptoms, especially in severe dengue or dengue shock syndrome. Now, coming to the monoclonal antibodies, they are emerging as the promising therapeutic against dengue. Now, these are targeting the viral surface glycoproteins and prevent probably viral attachment or fusion to the host cell membrane. So, they are just targeting the viral NS1 antigen and yet to be investigated in the humans. Now, all of us have encountered this papaya leaf extract. There are few RCT trials done in Bangalore using this, and significantly increased platelet count with thrombocytopenia. Remember, there were few side effects and good tolerability, but role of papaya leaves cannot be scientifically substantiated based on few positive preliminary reports. Need of the day is high quality human trials, and you should prove beyond doubt there is a scientific evidence for papaya leaves or extract to be used in dengue fever. Now, what is the role of corticosteroids? Remember, WHO does not recommend corticosteroids. Evidence is insufficient, especially in the treatment of early stages or patients with dengue-related shock. Probably immune pathology of dengue with similar features in autoimmune diseases, thereby making way for corticosteroids in the treatment of dengue. Now, when you look at the targeting the hosts, we have corticosteroids, IVIG, anti-D immunoglobulin, probably platelet transfusion. Now, there are various clinical studies at different stages in dengue. There is no significant adverse effects of steroids, no prolongation of viremia, no reduction in incidence of shock or other complication, no effect on severe dengue shock, failed to show improvement in platelet count. There is little impact on host immune response with steroids. So, reduction in the incidence of bleeding or ascites, statistically significant mortality benefit, significant hemodynamic improvement, morbidity after recovery were shorter. Some benefit probably on dengue maculopathy is the only evidence for steroids. To conclude, steroids is basically we need sustained and maintained therapeutic blood levels of corticosteroid for adequate duration, and using steroid with high receptor affinity probably. Only individual patient may respond differently. It is difficult to make general guidelines to use in all patients of dengue the corticosteroids. Now, there are some new technologies modifying the mosquitoes, biologic and genetic, using a bacteria called Wolbachia, which is introduced into the Aedes mosquito, probably decreasing the transmission of the viral disease. There are field trials which are going on underway in Vietnam, Australia, and some of the other countries. That's how these Wolbachia is introduced into the mosquito. Thereby, the mosquito dies faster and probably reduces the transmission of the disease. Now, coming to the vaccines, there are few vaccines are under development. First ever dengue vaccine is dengue vaccine, which is licensed in some of the countries. What is mentioned there, more than 10 countries since 2016. It is a tetravalent live attenuated vaccine. And current status of vaccine, no global vaccine. That means to all the countries, we don't have vaccine. Some of the vaccines, what I mentioned, they are in different phases. And first long-term follow-up, that is 3 years post-vaccination, has shown a continued benefit when vaccinated in certain set of patients, that is children aged between 9 and 16 years only. Those who have suffered from dengue already, only those can be vaccinated. Now, these are the number of trials which are undergoing on vaccine. There are about 100 and odd different phases. Most of them are in phase 1, very few are in phase 3 and phase 4. Probably you can expect those vaccines to be launched. There are subunit vaccines targeting different proteins, maybe E protein, which can be developed in future. So, WHO has not qualified the use of this vaccine, probably still yet to come, and we are going to have 3 different doses. And now, lastly, we have to eradicate. There is nothing left to us. We have to eradicate the mosquito breeding sites. Probably early diagnosis and treatment of these dengue cases by various methods, either fever recording or one-step diagnosis or education. Community, we have to take care of the surroundings. All our dirty things we have to remove. And personally, we have to protect using many of these things. Like educating the public or the doctors, probably it will be the point of the day. This is one of the booklet I had written on dengue in the local language, and which will be given to all the patients so that they get more information and probably less questions to the clinicians if they go through. And to conclude my talk, we need to control dengue virus transmission. To identify the markers, probably biomarkers are non-invasive way of looking at these patients and triaging these patients. Development of low-cost point-of-care devices to measure various parameters which can be used by clinicians. Training program to disseminate the knowledge on dengue, how to manage. The need for well-conducted, probably clinical trials to clarify and improve the dengue management will go a long way in controlling this disease. With that effort, probably the next talk is going on dengue research project will be of some use to the clinicians, and that way we have to proceed in this dengue management. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chennaraya. I'm sure all of you agree, give a good elaborate overview of management of dengue fever. But my comments, Dr. Chennaraya, this year you have shown the data up to May.
No, September.
Most of the time.
Up to September, I have shown.
September. But see, last 3 months, the dengue number of cases, at least in Hyderabad and parts of Andhra, Telangana, so rampant. 3 months of rainy season, none of either government hospitals or general hospitals, their beds were available. It was fully packed with viral fevers. Adenovirus and dengue both were really rampant this time.
Yeah, this year is more than the last year compared to the number
But
of
your
cases.
data in 2019 was less here compared to last
No,
year.
I am in a different setup. Okay, whatever the data I have seen is in the present where I am working. The previous data what I showed was in a bigger hospital, teaching hospital. It is a 1,300 bed hospital. The present where I am working is hardly 200 beds. Within that data, what I have shown you is different.
I agree with you. And after Deepavali, the number of mosquitoes will come down, and this mosquito-borne infection also come down. Probably effect of crackers, I don't know, but every year this happens. So for every disadvantage, there is advantage. So, any of you have any questions on dengue? Please identify your name and ask questions, sir. Sir, take the mic, sir. Take. So, one of you give the mic to the doctor. Madam, can you give your mic?
You doesn't need mic, Nagesh.
Hello.
Be brief, sir.
Sir, regarding the papaya leaves and other extracts and the platelet rise, you told there is a study which showed rise in the platelets. So what happens by the time you suspect dengue and diagnose and patient start papaya leaves or whatever it is on 5th day, 7th day there is a natural rise. So was it a placebo control study? I don't personally feel that the papaya leaves really help dengue because that will be a wrong message.
No, that's why I told you in the
You
end.
told there is a
need-
rise.
No, it showed the rise. Whatever the trial shows the rise.
Was it a placebo control trial? It really showed the rise. On which day you started? Which day of the fever? No, second day, the platelets start dropping on the 4th day, 5th day. Second day, invariably 99% of the patient platelets.
Okay,
That should be on the 5th day. That should be 4th or 5th day. Febrile phase, unlikely, very, except the 5-6%,
Okay, sir.
we hardly see thrombocytopenia.
Okay,
If you started on the 5th day, the natural rise starts on the 7th day, even if you don't start, but day 2, the platelets will be normal.
After confirming that the platelet.
Madam, day 2, platelets will be normal.
That's what, sir.
How prophylactically you started?
No, sir. After
Sir.
day 2, when the platelet fell below 1 lakh, only
Or
patients
second
were
day of the platelet fall.
Yes.
Usually, what happens, the platelets starts falling on 4th or 5th day. 7th day, there is a natural rise. So how do you differentiate from the
sir,
natural
what-
rise and the papaya leaf induced rise?
It was a double-blind placebo-controlled trial, so other arm did not improve.
Probably you need to present in detail for some time else.
But it's already published, sir. It's in the public domain.
Sir, there are public data they can read on this. We'll not
It is
discuss
published
Yeah,
in
please.
API journal. I think you can go through that article.
Yeah, please, sir. Some more, somebody.
One brief question only, or rather comment. It's a wonderful presentation. Just
Thank
one
you.
comment. I'm Dr. Jagdish. In children who have got dengue with liver cell failure, we tend to use N-acetylcysteine. What is your experience? Do you use that at all?
Yeah, whenever there is liver dysfunction, we do use all the supportive measures like N-acetylcysteine, either ursodeoxycholic acid, all supportive, we have to do that.
Okay. The other thing is there are some reports from Thailand which shows that in certain patients who are bleeding and who have got very low platelet counts, IVIG helps. What is your experience?
Yeah, IVIG I showed you. So they are all not done proper, well-conducted clinical trials. In selective cases they have used, and the problem with IVIG is the cost of the therapy. We cannot be recommended to all the patients, probably in set of patients, especially in a prolonged thrombocytopenia beyond 7 days. If it persists, if you see on day 1 the platelet has fallen, if it is beyond 7 days still persisting, probably there is a role for IVIG as an autoimmune basis where they do recommend IVIG in such patients.
Dr. Chennai, I have one more. You have told steroids. In viral infection, if you give steroids, viremia will increase, viral load will increase.
Now that's what I showed you. In the end, I said WHO will not recommend corticosteroids. In any set guidelines, it is not there. There are few trials, there are few reports of only corticosteroids. Unless we standardize the corticosteroids therapy, when to start, how much level to be maintained, till such time there is no role for corticosteroids.
Point well taken. I will ask So last question and be brief.
Sir, for the role of platelets, our pediatric adult colleagues is to using left and right more of platelets.
Now, let
What
me
is the
tell you-
indication for a platelet
Now,
in adult?
platelets less than 10,000, even if some of them do come and recover, even if you don't give platelets, we need not give in everybody unless you have some suspicion of bleeding, or if you think the trend is falling and he is going to bleed intracranially, which cannot be controlled in such patients. And problem with platelet is in rural setup. I cannot recommend 10,000. In a rural setup, if you are working in a small place where you don't have access to platelet, if platelet drops to 5,000 next day, they cannot arrange in 12 hours, 14 hours. Now, such situations, I still feel at 20,000, either they have to arrange the platelets or they have to transfer the patient where the platelet is available. So, it is not universal. They have, WHO has given as a flat recommendation, thinking that all the hospitals will have the platelet. So, we cannot recommend such things. Probably at the 20,000, I recommend to prepare yourself whether platelet is needed or not. If you don't have facilities, please transfer that patient where platelets are there, or you better arrange and keep. If it falls, probably he may require, or if he bleeds, he may require platelet.
And
in
brief.
such-
Dr. Sir, please, sir. We are going beyond time. Dr. Chandraya, your talk has given a scintillating discussion. Thank you very much. I will ask Dr. Purushottam to give concluding remarks.
Thank you for all the audience for patient hearing.
Dr. Channaraya has given wonderful insight on the management of dengue fever, what we are facing every day, day in, day out. We thank doctor and the microlabs people to have him here to have the session. Thank you.
Thank you, doctors, and thank you, Dr. Chandraya, for that fantastic presentation on recent advances in dengue management. May I please request for the chairpersons to come forward and present a memento as our token of appreciation to Dr. Chandraya on this occasion. Thank you, Dr. Chandraya. And to present a memento to our chairpersons of the session, may I please invite Professor Dr. Nagaraj, Bangalore Medical College, to please come on the dais. Professor Dr. Nagaraj from Bangalore Medical College to present a memento to our chairperson, Dr. Purushottam and Dr. Narasimhaluji. Thank you, doctors.